if you read about film cameras online or scroll through Instagram looking at photos of film cameras, you probably notice that most attention goes to things that are the 3Ms. They're manual, they're mechanical, and they're metal. I think that's because they've come to embody what film photography is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be tactile, and it's supposed to slow you down and make you think about what you're doing. And it also shows how stylish you are too. But what about plastic fantastic cameras from the 80s and 90s? Like this is the Canon EOS 600, also called the 630, and it was the first camera with back button focusing. The one I got, it's practically brand new, and it only cost $25, which is a crazy good deal. Cameras like this are, not the most popular. They sort of have a bad reputation on the internet for several reasons. First is that they're totally computerized, so if something happens with the circuits, it's probably unrepairable now. Another reason is that they sort of tend to be kind of ugly and not very pleasingly designed. That's subjective, I guess, but that's the general opinion. And another big reason why they're sort of cheap and unpopular is that they have a reputation for being, low build quality. People really don't like how they're plasticky and stuff like that. But things are changing nowadays. Since the popular cameras have gotten so expensive lately, they're like too expensive for a lot of people. So people are looking for some cheaper alternatives. The guys on Grainy Days, they're always raving about the Nikon F100, even though it's like $125, maybe even $200 or $300 if it's in really good condition. But most cameras like this, they're $25 to $50. And even if they're even when they're in really good condition, so you can definitely find a cheap thrill on the internet still, in film cameras, and I think you'll find that the build quality really isn't all that bad. So, first off, the size and weight. This is kind of a big camera for an SLR. This is when SLR started getting really big and bulbous and stuff like that. Mainly because of the grip. The grip actually is really comfortable, and I can hold this for quite a while without my hand cramping up like it does with the Canon Rebels and stuff like that. But this grip is actually well designed and big enough for my hands. It has this smooth rubber covering here. It's definitely, you can definitely tell that it was designed in the 80s because they weren't really doing the retro thing like Fujifilm does with the whole fake leatherette texture on the coverings. Also, let's see. Okay, this control wheel, it's like a hard rubber, and there's a little play to it, but the clicks are pretty nice and firm. The top LCD is nicely organized and easy to read, and press this little button to turn on the light. It has a blue color, and you push this button to do AE lock. The shutter button itself, Like the travel is pretty short, like all electromagnetic shutters, but it's easy to stop at the half press point and not trip the shutter accidentally. When you press it all the way down, the shutter sound is like not that bad actually. Yeah, is it gonna go? Maybe I should just turn it to manual. So anyhow, it just has that classic 80s motor wind electronic shutter sound. It's kind of nice, even though it's not as smooth as Nikon F or anything like that. I think you noticed that the autofocus motor is really loud on these screw drive lenses. It's like it's pretty screechy and high pitched. You can avoid that if you get a USM lens or one of the new STM lenses. That would be really cool. They've come out with like a 50 1.8 and a 40 2.8 pancake. Those are really nice, and they even have the 35 f2 image stabilized lens. That would be really cool, to have an image stabilized, slightly wide, normal prime lens on a camera from the late 1980s. That would be really fun, wouldn't it? So anyhow, this lens, it's the kit lens, and the zoom ring is it's okay. It's kind of dry feeling, but you can definitely tell that it's kind of on the cheap side. Up here, this focus ring is really light, and it feels dry and cheap. What can I say? It's the kit lens. It's fine, I guess. Aside from that, I guess the lens release button here, it's in my favorite place, of course, on the left side of the body. And right here, you see the aperture stop down button. I don't know if you can hear that, but it has like that little mechanical aperture sound. And this button, when you're in manual mode, you can press this, and then you turn the control dial to change the aperture. This dial usually just changes the shutter speed in most modes or whatever. Let's see what else. Up here, you have the mode and the exposure compensation buttons. They're kind of mushy compared to these buttons, which have like a clicky sound to them. And then here, the main dial, it's nice and firm. There's not really much play to it at all, but it has a nice clicky sound to it. So it's a nice satisfying dial there. Here, you got the film door release switch. If you go like that without pressing this, it won't open. But so like press it down and it opens like that. When you're shopping for one of these, make sure there's no mirror foam gunk mucking up the shutter blades. You don't want to have to get that repaired and spend extra money or anything like that. Also on the back, you have this door. This is like the cheapest feeling thing on this camera. It has a magnet to close, and there's no spring or anything to keep it open, so it just sort of flops around. Pretty sure this is gonna like snap off if something bumps up against it, so be careful with that. The buttons in here are rubber and they're kind of squishy. It's probably hard to push these with gloves on, so keep that in mind. I have to say anything about the viewfinder. The viewfinder is actually like really bright compared to the Canon UF1. I'd say they'd be the same brightness if this was a faster lens. The focusing screen doesn't really have any focusing snap to it because it's designed for autofocus lenses, but it gives you a very clear image because the laser matte is very, very fine on the autofocus SLRs. But it's a nice big bright image, I think, and I like it a lot actually. The metering display is also well designed. Just check out the manual to see what it looks like. But anyhow, back to the switches back here. If you press these two buttons down, that gets you into custom function modes, and then you turn the switch here to custom function 4, and then to select it, to turn it on actually, you press the AE lock button, and then you get out of the menu by half pressing the shutter. So now I think it should be set to back button autofocus. So, oh come on, nope. Is it on? Nope. What's going on? They do it right. Okay, press those. Select it. X out. Okay, there it goes. I didn't press the button the first time. Okay, so now it's on back button autofocus. The one caveat with that is that since you put back button on the AE lock button, you lose AE lock. It would have been nice if they just automatically moved AE lock to the shutter button, but I guess they didn't think of that. So anyhow, that's the Canon EOS 600. It's pretty ergonomic camera, and it's actually built pretty well, I think. So if you want something cheap and fun, I think you would really enjoy a camera like this. I highly recommend it to beginners and jaded old camera geeks alike. So thanks for watching and have a good week. Bye.